Okay, give him above. One agent would bring a get from overseas and became ill. The court appoints another and sends him, and he says before them, I was written in my presence and it's signed by my presence. The latter agent says, need not say, I was written in my presence and I signed in my presence. Rather, he says, I am an agent of the court. One who lends money to a Kohen, a Levi, or a poor person on the condition to separate from their portions and is said, may separate in its stead on the assumption that they are alive, and he need not be concerned that the Kohen or Levi may have died, or that the poor man became wealthy. If they must die, if they die, they must obtain permission from their heirs. If he lent them before the court, he let them need not obtain a permission from the heirs. One who puts aside produce to separate truma and tithes with them, or money to separate the second tithe with them, they separate with them on the assumption that they are still in existence. If they were lost, he must be cautious regarding a period of 24 hours. And these are the words of Reb Elazar ben Shamu. Reb Eliezer says at 3 points in time, the boy must be examined at the time of the eastward, which is after the festival, with the emergence of the budding berries, and the time that liquid enters the unripe grapes. Okay.
Okay. השולח גט לאשתו. Okay, so starting story is that a man decides he wants to divorce his wife, but he doesn't want to be in her presence, so he appoints a shaliach to go and divorce her. Okay, and the shaliach is on his merry way to divorce the wife. Now, just an important point just to remember is that um, if this had been something where the divorce was a complete benefit to the wife, then as soon as the shaliach receives it, he can no longer retract it because now he's accepted it on behalf of the wife, and she now is automatically divorced because it's a pure benefit. But because it's not a pure benefit, it has to be done in front of her, and she has to accept it. Okay, so there's no way to make him the shiliach for the wife, and now she's divorced. It's got to be with her consent,
All right.
with her direct knowledge. Anyway, that's just a little background. Now the shiliach's on his way, and the husband changes his mind and starts chasing after the shaliach and catches up to him. Or alternatively, sheshalach acharav shaliach, or he sends somebody else, a faster shaliach, to say catch up to the other guy and stop him. V'amar lo, get shenasati lach batelhu. Say, listen, changed my mind. This get that you were going to give is null and void. Or is it batel? Okay, that works. That works. If he intercepts the shaliach on his way, then that nullifies the get. Furthermore, another way of doing it, kadam etzel ishto. He picked up the phone to his wife and said, "Listen, I sent a get, but just ignore it. I've voided it." Okay, that's how it would translate into today's world. Okay, or sheshalach etzla shaliach, or he sent a shaliach to overtake the other shaliach, and he gets to her first and says, "Listen, your husband sent a get, but he's recanted. So when the second one arrives, it's no, when the first shaliach arrives with the get, it's batal. Yep. Get shalachti biyad shalachti lach batal. Hooray, batal. Okay, this all works. Im mishehegia haget liyada, but as soon as she has received possession of the get, before he could intercept the messenger or get a message through to his wife, shuv eno yachol levatlo. Once she's received it, it's done. Okay, done deal. All right, so those are some very basic ground rules over here. Now, here's what used to happen that had to change. Barishona haya ose based in b'makom acher mevatlo. One of the things that he could have done is he sends the get, changes his mind, and calls a based in his local city and says, "Listen, I'm making public knowledge that the get that I sent is null and void." He gave up on catching up with the shaliach, couldn't pick up the phone at the time, of course. Um, so he makes a declaration in front of based in that this get is invalid. Okay. Now, technically, that might work, as long as the word travels quickly from that based into wherever his wife is, that this get that she received is invalid. Hiskin Rabban Gamliel Hazakin Shelo Yehu Osin Kain. Rabban Gamliel said, "Don't ever do this. This is such a mess." Why? Because what's going to happen is, let's say the word doesn't get out from this based in. He's in the north, she's in the south. So everyone in the north knows, and she receives it in the south. She says, "Okay, great." She goes and lives with another guy, and now you've got a married woman living with somebody else, and if she becomes pregnant, you're gonna have mamzerim. Just no, don't do it. It's usher to do such a thing, and that was so. Um, Furthermore, Barishana Hayam Shane Shma Ushma, like if he changes his name or her name according to the place where they live. And this is a very common thing, by the way, if you think about it, with people who make Aliyah from Chutz La'aretz, right? The guy's name is Jeffrey and now becomes Yehuda.
Right.
Okay. So, so they would just say they would just write the get in the place where the get is given. Okay, Shem ira v'shem ira. V'hiskin Rabban Gamliel hazaken sheyehe kosev ish ploni v'chol shem sheyesh lo. So Rabban Gamliel also said that this is a problem. Why isha ploni v'chol shem sheyesh la mipnei tikkun haolam? Why? Not because the get would be invalid, but because let's say they go back to the original place and they see this name, they say, "Who the heck is this? Is this Yehuda guy? I know Jeffrey, and you would married to Jeffrey, and this is an invalid get, and now you remarried and your children are mamzerim." So it's not technically that they are mamzerim, but there's going to be rumors. There's going to be talking, and it's just said no. Make sure that this get is clear and unambiguous. That every single name that he has and every place name, all the um, everything that she has all must be in the get so that it's completely unambiguous that this is a good and kosher divorce. Okay. Once we're already talking about things that are done mipnei tikkun haolam, the Mishnah now goes into a tangent and starts talking about other tikkunim takanas that were made mishum tikkun haolam. By the way, just an interesting thing. This is what like the reform movement is very big on is tikkun olam. Um, and they have no idea what it means. This is tikkun olam. We're not trying to fix the world and save the whales and and do all things like we're trying to make society function properly. That's what tikkun olam is. That you've got to have a properly functioning society that doesn't have problems of people talking about each other's divorces and casting suspicion, whatever. Just make sure that everything operates kosher. Okay, Mishnah Gimel. Ein almana nifras min nichse yesomim ela bishvua. Okay, so there was halacha that when a widow wants to come and claim her kesubah from the orphans,
Right.
orphans would make her take a shavua that she hasn't ever taken anything from the estate already. And the Chachamim, so Rabban Gamliel, had a suspicion, had a concern that that she well, in fact, Nimnu Mil Hashpia is that the Beit Din decided that she should not take such an oath. Why? Because in her mind she might actually have taken money from it, but she rationalizes to say, "Listen, I've been looking after you all this time and putting stuff in. I'm entitled to take expenses above my kasubah." Okay, so now she's taking a shavua, and it's a false shavua, and that is a very serious offense. Taking a false shavua, you become chayiv in korbanos, and it's a mess. You don't want people to take shavuas lightly. So Beis Din decided that we can't make her swear, but then the Yasomim said, but hold on a second, she's had unfettered access to our dad's estate for all this time, and we don't know that she hasn't already claimed a kasubah. We want some sort of security. So here's Kin Rabban Gamliel Azaken. Now, difference between a neder and a shavua is that a shavua is like what you do in Beis Din. You take a very serious thing. You put your hand on the Sefer Torah, whatever it is that some sort of very serious and solemn oath that you're taking. Which a neder is also a big deal, but it's not as big a deal as a shavua. But what does a neder do? A neder places an isser on an object, as we've learned in Nadarim, right? So then someone can say, okay, well, say that if I have already taken something, then X should be usher to me, and they can say anything to it. Say, look, if you haven't taken anything, let everything let uh, uh, whatever your house be usher to you. And she says, Amen. And then if she's in violation of that, yes, okay, being in violation of a neder is not good, but it's not as bad as being in violation of a shavua. So that's what Rabban Gamliel said. If you want that security, let her take a neder rather than a shavua. V'gova kesubasa, and then she can collect her kesuba in full. Ha'edim chosmim ala get mipnei tikkun ha'olam. Now that's a new subject over here. Is that me'ikar hadin? What's got to be written in a get is all the content that we've spoken about, who's divorcing whom and when, etc. You don't need technically to have Adim written on it. What's important is that the Adim witness it, so you know who the Adim are. Okay, and then if that's handed over, then okay, the get is done. But Rabban Gamliel sees another problem. Rabban Gamliel sees. I think it's still Rabban Gamliel who's doing this. Yeah, Rabban Gamliel sees, but there's a problem. What happens if one of the witnesses dies? Now she's got to go around and say, "Look, I'm divorced," and they say, "Prove it." So here's the stein. So who saw this? Who saw this get being delivered? Oh, it was these two guys, and where are they? Oh, they're dead. Problem. So have them sign it as well as witness it, so you can see that they've put their names on this thing, and even if they've died, you know who they are and who they were, and that just saves her the trouble of having a questionable divorce. Or not that the divorce itself is questionable, because technically it's a perfectly good divorce, but she doesn't want people talking about it. Okay, that's again a tikkun olam. And now Hillel also comes in on the Tikkun Olam story. We mentioned him. Hillel Hiskin Prosbul Mipnei Tikkun Olam. As we know, the Prosbul was the situation where by coming up to the Shemitah year, and people do exactly what the Torah says they shouldn't do, is they say, look, it's coming up to the end of the Shemitah. If I loan this guy money, then it's going to be gone. So really what you're supposed to do is loan it. And if the Shemitah is Mashmit, you say, okay, but not everyone can do that. And Hillel looked at them and said, look, I'd rather have a situation where people are able to loan the money and don't, and even if they claim it after Shemitah, which, not great. Really, lechatchila, the best case is that they loan the money and let Shemitah cancel it. But the worst case is where people refuse to loan the money, which is exactly what the Torah says you must not do. So we'll take the middle case where we can make a prosbul and write over the debt to Beis Din, and then they can claim it after the Shemitah. No, it's not. It's not the best, but it's better than the worst, and that's a situation of prosbul.
Just thinking when you said that, was the prosbul instituted after the incident with Ruth and Naomi and the other girl? Yeah, because the husbands were not lending money anymore. They stopped. That's why they moved, right?
Was it a Shemitah thing, or was it just a poverty thing? In Megillas Rus, look, Megillas Rus is in Tanakh, and Hillel is a Tana, so we're talking way afterwards. But I don't remember seeing anything connected to Shemitah there. Just that there was a lot of poverty, and that Elimelech was tired of having people coming and knocking on his door.
Right. Okay, I got it. Okay. All right.
Okay, back to Sota, Tessu Gimel.
Okay. We have a Tessu Gimel. Shimon ben Eleazar says the cessation of tahara caused the loss of flavor and aroma. The cessation of tithes caused the loss of the richness of the grain. And the sages say promiscuity. All right, and sorcery brought an end to it all. Okay. During the siege of Viesvan, they decreed a ban on bridegroom's crowns and on the tambourine. During the siege of Titus, they decreed a ban on bride's crowns and that a man not teach his son Greek. During the final siege, they decreed that a bride may not go. When Bram Zoma died, the Exodus disappeared. When Reb Yeshua died, goodness ceased from the world. When Reb Shimon ben Gamliel died, the locusts came and trouble increased. When Elazar ben Azariah died, wealth increased ceased from among the sages. When Akiva died, the glory of the Torah disappeared. When Hanana ben Dosa died, men of the great Jesus appeared. When Merbosa the Lisa died, pious ones ceased. And why he was called the Lisa? Because he was the least of the pious ones. When Rabbi Zochanan ben Zakkai died, the splendor of wisdom disappeared. When Rabbi Gamliel the elder died, the glory of the Torah disappeared, and purity and abstention died. When Yismael ben Pavi died, the splendor of the Kahuma died, disappeared. When Rabbi Nasi died, humility and fear of the son's sin disappeared. Pigus ben Yahya says, with the destruction of the temple, scholars have high-born men became ashamed, and their faces have been hidden, and men of merit have been impoverished. Strong-armed men and slanderers have become powerful, and there is no one to investigate, seek, or inquire on whom we can rely, only on our Father in heaven. Rabbi Eliezer the Great says, from the day that this temple was destroyed, scholars became like school teachers, and school teachers like synagogue attendants like common people, and the common people continue to generate. And no one seeks to halt this, on whom we can rely, only on our Father in heaven. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. When the footsteps of the Messiah, insolence will increase and the flesh soar. The vine will give its fruit, but wine will be dear, and the government will turn to heresy, and there will be no rebuke. The meeting place of sages will be used for immorality. And the Galil will be destroyed, and the Galvant land desolated, and the border dwellers will wander around from city to city, but will not be pitied. The knowledge of scholars will be lost, those who fear the sin will be despised, and the truth will be hidden. Youth will shame old men, and old men will stand up for youngsters. It is a time when a son shames his father, a daughter rebels against a father, mother, a daughter-in-law against, a father, a daughter rebels against a mother, a daughter-in-law against a mother-in-law, and a man's enemies are the members of the household. The face of the generation will be like the face of the dog, and the son is not ashamed for his father, for whom we rely, only on our Father in heaven. Divine inspiration brings to the resurrection of the dead, and the resurrection of the dead will be brought by Eliyahu, who is remembered for good. Amen. Okay.
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 Hadron Allah, Maseches Sota. So tomorrow, start at the beginning of Gittin.
Beginning. Okay.
Yeah.
Nazir.
Mhm.
Liz here, Ches Dalet. Someone who vowed to be a Nazir, and when he went to bring his animal, he found that he had been stolen. If he declared, when he declared himself a Nazir before the animal had been stolen, he's a Nazir. If he declared himself after a Nazir after not have been stolen, it is not a Nazir. And the error was made by Nachum the Mede. When a group of Nazarim came up from the disaster and found the temple destroyed, Nachum the Mede said to them, if you had known that the temple would be destroyed, would you have vowed to be a Nazirim? They answered him, no. So Nachum the Mede released them. But when the matter came before the Chacham, and they said to him, anyone who declared himself a Nazir before the temple was destroyed is a Nazir. After the temple was destroyed, he is not a Nazir. If there were people walking on the road and someone was coming toward them, and one of them said, I am a Nazir, and this is so and so, and another said, I'm a Nazir, that is not so and so. I am a Nazir, that one of them of you is a Nazir, that one of you is not a Nazir. That you, two of you, are Nazirim, and all of you are Nazirim. Beis Shammai says they are not all Nazirim, and Beis Hillel says no one is a Nazir except he whose words are.
Beis Shammai said they are all Nazirim.
They are all Nazirim, and the Beis Hillel says no one is a Nazir except for those whose words are not fulfilled. Reb Tarfon says not one of them is a Nazir. If he turned back suddenly, he is not a Nazir. Reb Shimon said he should say, if I was as I said, I am a Nazir by previous obligation. If not, I am a Nazir voluntarily.
Okay,
If he's
that's it.
okay, that's it.
Yavamas.
Okay. We have hey, hey, Yud Gimel, hey. Mama era, no. Mama Erna,
Mama Enes.
excuse me?
Mama Enes, the woman, the girl who refuses her husband when this is when she's married off by her mother or brothers.
Baish, Nishes, Shah.
Why don't you read it in English?
I was just saying the same thing to myself. If a girl refuses a husband and is then married to another who divorces her, then to another whom she refuses, then to another who divorces her, and then to another who she refuses, she is forbidden to return to anyone from whom she was divorced, but is permitted to return to anyone whom she refused. If a man divorces his wife and then remarries her, she is permitted to the Yavam, but Reb Eliezer forbids her. And so too, if someone divorces an orphan and then remarries her, she is permitted to the Yavam. But if Eliezer forbids her, if a child was given to marriage by a father and was then a divorce, she is like an orphan during her father's lifetime, but he remarries her, and all agree that she is forbidden to the Yavam. If two brothers are married to two minor orphan sisters, and the sister of one died, she is a charge of his wife's sister. So too in the case of two deaf mutes. If one was an adult and one was a minor, if the minor's husband died, the minor is the charge of his wife's sister. If the adult's husband died, the Rabbi Eliezer says we teach the minor to refuse him. Rabbi Gamil says if she refused, that she did, since she did so, but she would not let her wait until she reaches adulthood, and the other will then be the charge of his wife's sister. If Rabbi Yeshua says, if woe to him because of his wife, and woe to him because of his brother's wife, he must divorce his wife and perform chalitza with his brother's wife. If
Okay,
someone would,
that's with
right,
that.
okay,
Okay.
okay,
Yeah, Shabbos.
Shabbos. Let me see, Yud Vav. And one who removes his fingernails, one with the other, and one with his teeth, and similarly one who removes his hair, his mustache forbid in such a manner, and one who braids her hair or paints her eyes or put parts of hair, Reb Eliezer declares liable, but the common prohibit them as rabbinical enactments. Though one who detaches a plant from a perforated flower pot is liable, from an unperforated line is exempt. Reb Shimon says, however, exempts in both cases. Okay, so here, and this is Shabbos number 2. Okay. One who draws from a private domain to a public domain, one who throws from a private domain to a public domain, from a public domain to a private domain is liable. One who throws from a private domain to another private domain and a public domain lies in between, Rebbe Akiva holds him liable. The sages, however, exempt him. In what manner? Two balconies, one opposite the other, in a public domain. One who hands over or throws from one to the other is exempt. If both were in one row, one who hands over is liable, whereas one who throws is exempt. For such was the work of the Levites. There were two agents, one behind the other, and in a public domain. They would hand over the boards from one to the other, but they would not throw them. The bank of a cistern and a rock are 10 handbreds high and 4 handbreds wide. One who takes an article from them or places an article upon them is liable. Less than these dimensions, he is exempt. Okay.
Taurus.
Horus. Okay. Dalet Gimel. If a sheretz was in the mouth of a weasel or a nevela in the mouth of a dog, and they passed between tahor people or tahor people passed between them, the doubt is ruled tahor, since the tumor does not have a place. If they were picking at the sheretz or nevela on the ground, and a tahor person said, I walked to that place, but I do not know whether I touched the tamei item or did not touch it, the uncertainty is ruled tamei because the tumor is a place. If an olive vine of a human corpse was in the mouth of a raven and it's uncertain whether it formed a roof over a person or over utensils in a private domain, the uncertainty regarding a person is root tummy, and the uncertainty regarding utensils is root tahor. If one fills 10 buckets of water and a sheretz is found in one of the buckets, it is tummy. All of the others are tahor. If one person's water from one vessel to another vessel and a sheretz is found in the lower vessel, the upper one is tahor. If one of 6 cases of tuma uncertainty we burn to I'm sorry, one on account of 6 cases of tuma certainly we burn truma. On account of the tuma certainty of the space of a base hapras, and on account of the tuma certainty of earth which comes from the land of the nations. On account of the tuma uncertainty of garments of an amaretz, on account of a tuma certainty of utensils that are found on account of the tuma certainty of spittle that is found on account of the tuma. Uncertainty of human urine, which is approximately to animal urine, on account of the definite contract with these items, which constitute a question of tuma, we burn truma. Yossi also says, on account of the questionable contact in the private domain, but the sages say in the private domain we suspend truma, in the public domain it is tahor. Okay.
Right.
And we have anonymous.
Mhm.
Okay. There we go. Dalet Hay. The convitim of the Kohen Gadol were not brought by halves. Rather, he brings a full Issaron and divides it and offers half in the morning and half in the afternoon. If a Kohen offered half in the morning and he died, and they appointed another Kohen in his place, he should not bring a half an Issaron of his own, nor the half of the first one's Issaron. Rather, he brings a full Issaron and divides it in half. And he offers half, and his half is destroyed. Thus, 2 halves are offered and 2 halves are destroyed. If they did not appoint another Kohen, from whom was it brought? Reb Shimon says from the public. And Judah says from the heirs, and it was offered whole. All mincha offerings are brought as matzah, except for the leavened bread of the Todah offering and the shtei alechem, which are brought leavened. Reb Meir says he abstracts sourdough from them for within themselves and leaves them. Rabbi Yehuda says this too is not preferred, but rather he brings sourdough, places it within the measure, and then fills the measure. And they said to him, this too will be deficient or excessive. All mincha offerings are kneaded with lukewarm water, and one guards them from becoming leavened. If it remains to become leavened, each transgression is a prohibition, which is written, And any milk offering which I should offer to Hashem shall not be made leavened, and they are liable for kneading, its arrangement, and for its baking.
Okay,
Okay.
done, and I gotta run.
Okay. All right. Have a
Hey,
great day.
you too,
I
and
think it's
good.
Friday.